What's going on, everybody? It's the Bull Show, aka Aidan, and welcome back to another video. Ladies and gentlemen, there is no secret whatsoever that despite it being very quiet in relation to the Chicago Bulls in terms of news and especially rumors, there are still a lot of people writing a lot of things about the Chicago Bulls and our potential future, most likely in trade scenarios, which is what I'm going to be discussing today. There are two pieces of news articles, or rumor articles I should say, that has been mentioning trades with this Chicago Bulls team, obviously with other teams as well. Now, ultimately, I want to discuss what I would like and definitely a lot that I dislike about some of these rumors, and overall get your thoughts and opinions on what you think about these rumors as well. But before we get started, please like and subscribe to the Bull Show, turn notifications on, and let me know in the comments below your thoughts about whether or not you agree with what's being said, or what is, I guess, if you disagree with what's being said as well. It's very important here because at the end of the day, I'm not sure how legitimate any of these rumors are, to be honest, and some of them are more, I guess, suggestions than anything else. But we will talk about two individuals, ladies and gentlemen, and the first one was discussing Kelly Oubre Jr. Now, at the end of the day, I believe Kelly Oubre Jr. is on an expiring deal, and the Charlotte Hornets are in a very unpredictable stage at the moment where if they fail to really show anything good in terms of their NBA season, if they realize they're not up to the level as other teams in the NBA season, then they could potentially look to offload some of their veteran guys to get younger assets, maybe even draft compensation in return, which means that Kelly Oubre would be one of those guys that could potentially be available and the Chicago Bulls could potentially go for. Kelly Oubre, at the end of the day, I think makes a lot of sense on this Chicago Bulls team. I've got to be honest. I feel he's a very good two-way player. I think he's a decent three-point shooter. He's a very good scorer. He can come off this bench and still do very, very good things. Ideally, again, he's on an expiring deal. Ideally, I would like a guy like Kelly Oubre Jr. a little bit longer than just, I guess, half a season at that point, depending on when Charlotte realize if they're a good team or not. But again, it's more of a hypothetical here because we don't know what Charlotte is going to be. Charlotte, for all we know, could be a team that starts off very, very well and then falls flat in the second half of the season like the Chicago Bulls did last year. And all of a sudden, they're not going to be trading a guy like Kelly Oubre Jr., are they? Because they feel that this team could really be something serious. But if they really come out to a bad start and they don't really find any improvements, or they feel like they're not going to get to where they need to be, Kelly Oubre could be a very viable option for the Chicago Bulls. Would I do a deal for Kelly Oubre Jr.? Honestly, I think I probably would. I feel like Kelly Oubre is definitely the type of player that I would welcome to the Chicago Bulls team. He's 26 years old, so if there's any possibility that we can get him for a longer-term deal, a 26-year-old player, I would very much welcome that. Someone that would be a very strong player off of this bench, someone that could potentially start as well. Look, he averages 15 points per game. Maybe he does start at a power forward position from time to time, or small forward position, who really knows. But I honestly think this could potentially be very ideal for the Chicago Bulls, in all honesty. But it does come with the fact that there's a lot of unknowns in the situation. We truly do not know what is going to happen with the Charlotte Hornets. It all comes down to whether or not they're good or bad. And even then, it could still be a little bit of a stretch. It also depends on what we would have to offer them. And I don't think it's going to come cheap, to be honest. Obviously, Kobe White would be a name many people throw out to the table. But draft compensation as well could very much be a factor. Maybe multiple picks could be a factor. Maybe we add in another player as well for someone that you bring in that will probably make us better. But yeah, Kelly Oubre is definitely a player I would very much be looking into if I was the Chicago Bulls, monitoring the Charlotte Hornets situation, monitoring where they're at in terms of their NBA season and where they want to go in terms of their future as well. It's a very big year for Charlotte, in my opinion, to know whether they're going to go and I guess compete with the East for a long period of time. I wouldn't necessarily call them a championship team or anything like that, or if they're going to be a team that still needs a little bit more pieces to really go and attack the NBA. Wait and see. But definitely, I would be considering looking at Kelly Oubre for a potential trade target for a one-year type deal, and hopefully we'll wait and see what the outcome could be, but maybe we can get him for longer. Not too sure about that one, but time will tell. One more article I want to talk about is the Chicago Bulls potentially trading Nikola Vucevic for Duncan Robinson. Nikola Vucevic for Duncan Robinson. Again, before I say anything, I'd really like your opinion on that. Before you know what I have to say, before you know my opinion on it, I'd really like to know in the comments below what you think about Nikola Vucevic for Duncan Robinson. I'm sure there'd be more in the deal for sure because, again, the level of player that we're talking about here are miles apart. I'm going to talk about some positives with Duncan Robinson. An unbelievably strong three-point shooter. He reminds me of a JJ Redick type player. You play to get him off-ball screens. You run off-ball plays for him. He's a very good mover without the ball. He's an elite, in my opinion, he's an elite mover. He's always on the go. He's always someone that's going to try to get himself open. And it makes it very hard for defenders to defend those types of movements. Again, I guess the example here would be with Curry as well. Curry is a jack of all trades. He can literally do it all. But one thing that makes it really hard to guard Curry is that he's constantly moving all the time. With the ball, without the ball, the guy never stops running. He never stops moving. I think Duncan Robinson is one of those guys that obviously is not going to be an on-the-ball player. He's not going to be out here trying to, I guess, break down an opponent and shoot a three. But off the ball plays, his movement is going to be very, very good for any team, including the Chicago Bulls. I think he's ridiculously overpaid. I think 90 million is way too much for Duncan Robinson. I don't know the decision behind that. And for a guy that was not really a guy that the Miami Heat could trust in the NBA playoffs, those are all major concerns. Not to mention he is very slow on the defensive end as well. Yes, he's a great shooter. Yes, he would improve our three-point shooting so much. You could probably hide some of his weaknesses on this team with a very strong bench defensive lineup, maybe even a starting defensive lineup. You can hide weaknesses there. But realistically, I don't know why the Chicago Bulls would trade Vucevic for Duncan Robinson. And on the other side of things, I don't know why Miami would want Nikola Vucevic. The only possible scenario I could see this working out for Miami is if they move Bam to the power forward spot and they put Vucevic at center. But still, the rim protection for Miami is non-existent. Bam is not necessarily a shot blocker, neither is Nikola Vucevic. So I don't see the purpose in this outside of just adding another scorer. And I feel like Miami, I'm not sure. I don't know why. I'm not sure why they would consider this. It's an expiring deal for Vucevic as well, so it would be just 1 year most likely. But yeah, I'm not sure what Miami could offer us that would really want to give up Nikola Vucevic. If you want to add different guards to the scenario, maybe Kyle Lowry or something like that, but why would Miami want to get rid of those players? I think it would be very difficult, and I'd be very upset, in my opinion, if that's the player that we're trading for Nikola Vucevic. But that's just my opinion, ladies and gentlemen. I think the article itself was kind of taking the piss, let's say, out of that possible rumor. And all things considered, I just don't think it makes sense. I think we can improve our three-point shooting in other ways. We waive Tony Bradley, we could probably sign a decent three-point shooter. Stuff like that, in my opinion, is more viable than trading our starting center going into the season with possibly Andre Drummond starting, and then you've got guys like Tony Bradley and Marco off the bench. To be honest, I'd much rather see us waive a player and then go and sign a three-point shooter. I'm sure there are some out there. There are some guys we could give a chance to if we really want to do that. I don't think this is the possible trade that we would be going for, in all honesty. I don't think this is the type of thing we should be doing. I think it ruins our contract situation will go in the bin with Duncan Robinson first and foremost, a $90 million contract. He's only 1 year into that contract as well. I don't think that's ideal for the Chicago Bulls, and I think we're getting a worse player in return. And I'm not even sure why. I would see Miami doing this. I just don't know why they would do this. I think they do this because they probably win the trade, but I don't think they do this to make sense of that team. I'm not sure if Bam and Vucevic would be the answer for them at the power forward and center position. But time will tell. If that ends up happening, we'll wait and see. Thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe if you're new. Have a wonderful and safe day, Bulls Nation. I just wanted to talk about those two things. I saw those two things recently. One of them is very ideal. I would absolutely love to see if the Bulls could do something like that. One of them, not so much. I would very much be upset if the Bulls really wanted to pursue a deal like that. Unless we get a really good return, multiple players, multiple draft picks for Nikola Vucevic, in that case, I don't think Duncan Robinson is enough. And if that's going to be the main core of the trade, I think we're in trouble there. So let's hope the Bulls stay away from that one. But again, AK makes all the decisions. I will trust it, but realistically, I'm not going to be optimistic about it. Have a wonderful and safe day. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay tuned for more. Take care and peace.